This is Caribbean News Desk. I'm Dennis Chabrol. In this edition, tumbling oil prices force Trinidad and Tobago to cut expenditure. Cuba denies calling press conference to discuss rumors that Fidel Castro is dead. Antiguans and Barbudans will pay no new taxes in this year's budget. China and Latin America in new alliance. Dominica's opposition to file criminal charges related to the recent general elections. Details coming up.
We are one Caribbean, one people, one nation. Facing the same destiny, so separated we are. As one, let's come together. One market economy. Caribbean is how it should be. Let's support CARICOM for Caribbean unity. It takes you. It takes me for Caribbean unity.
Faced with a 55% decline in international oil prices over the last 7 months, Trinidad and Tobago has announced plans to cut government expenditure and revise the oil price at which revenue and expenditure are pegged. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says her country's $10.2 billion budget for this year will be slashed due to a $1.2 billion shortfall after oil prices fell by half since last year. In an address to the Twin Island nation Thursday night, she announced that the budget will now be pegged at $45 per barrel of crude oil instead of the $80 per barrel. The Prime Minister says that in light of the $700 million deficit, a number of programs will be cut, but these will not include old age pensions, health, education and housing.
These are the areas that we will consider. Infrastructure projects for which funding has not yet been confirmed. Lower expenditure on non-critical goods and services and allocations in selected ministries by about 15%. And since there is an inverse relationship between the price of gas, the price of oil, and the petroleum subsidy, a lower price for oil results in a lower petroleum subsidy. This is estimated with our revised conservative average of $45 per barrel. This is estimated to be about $1.4 billion in expenditure savings. Any additional shortfall will be met from revenues generated as a result of our continued public offering program.
In part reference to the opposition and other critics, the Prime Minister urged nationalists of Trinidad and Tobago not to be alarmed and that they must ignore those who try to create panic. Experts say that crude oil prices have fallen due to a decline in demand by large consumers like China, the leveraging of energy resources for geopolitical reasons, and the United States exploitation of shale oil as well as gas. Regional airline Liat on Friday announced that it is reducing the fuel surcharge on tickets. Chief Executive Officer David Evans said effective January 15, the fuel surcharge will be reduced by 50% for all new bookings. Liat first introduced the fuel surcharge in 2003 in the wake of increasing fuel prices. In 2009, when the prices went down, the company took a decision to remove the fuel surcharge. However, in 2011, Liat reintroduced the fuel surcharge in response to months of spiraling jet fuel prices. This year alone, Liat spent $22 million on fuel, or 18% of total costs. The price of both jet fuel, the fuel used by airlines, and the crude oil have been falling recently. Mr. Evans said, being fully aware of the impact rising fuel prices have had on customers, it is only fitting that they benefit from the decreased prices. Caribbean financial conglomerate Spreaker Corporation is packing up its financial business to relocate from Barbados to another country, either in or outside the region. But Group President Doddridge Miller says a decision to relocate its financial business from Barbados does not mean that the entire company is leaving the island. Spreaker, which operates across the Caribbean, this week announced that it is leaving Barbados and is considering whether to move to Trinidad and Tobago, the United Kingdom, or the United States. The announcement came after international credit rating agency Standard & Poor's earlier this week downgraded the company's rating from BB+ to BB-. This downgrade, which affects the ability to borrow on the international market and rate of interest in loans, came 11 days after Barbados suffered another country downgrade, moving it from B to BB-. Miller told Starcom Radio that only Spreaker Financial Corporation will be moving out of Barbados and the insurance company will remain because they are two separate entities. He said the move will enable the financial company to restore its usually high rating and better do business on behalf of customers and investors, ensuring its competitiveness.
It offers the company an opportunity to improve its rating, restore its rating to investment grade, better access to capital at better prices, and greater access to a larger pool of value-creating opportunities, and overall allow the company to grow and prosper into the future. Many transactions that we enter into outside of Barbados require stronger ratings than either the government of Barbados or Spreaker would have at the minute, and therefore it precludes us from doing some of the things that we want to do in the long-term interests of policyholders and shareholders.
Spreaker's Group President Doddridge Miller. China and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, or CELAC, cemented a new alliance for multilateral cooperation on Friday, opening a new era of joint action for Latin America. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said that the forum that concluded Friday in Beijing with a resolution to construct a community of Latin American and Caribbean nations sharing common objectives represents a new model of South-South cooperation. The two-day ministerial meet originated with a suggestion made by Chinese President Xi Jinping during his Latin American tour in July, and it now has been transformed from dream to reality, Wang said at a press conference to mark its close. Delegates agreed on a joint declaration that establishes that a political consensus was reached and chalks a roadmap for reaching higher levels of bilateral cooperation. At the inauguration of the forum Thursday, Xi Jinping announced that China had promised to invest $250 billion in Latin America and the Caribbean in the next 10 years and double bilateral trade between the two regions to $500 billion. For his part, Wang also recalled that Xi had announced during his tour in July a $35 billion fund to promote investments in the region. Sectors such as infrastructure, mining, industry, scientific innovation, education, and social policies have been prioritized. Costa Rican Foreign Minister Manuel Gonzalez called it a defining moment in relations between the two regions that opened the door for cooperation based on not on improbable goals, but on sincere desires to help one another. Chile would host the second China CELAC Forum in 2018. Antiguans and Barbudans will not be asked to pay new taxes when the 2015 budget is presented to Parliament on Monday. That announcement by Governor-General Rodney Williams comes against the background of government already saying that the country has the highest deficit in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Governor-General Williams.
Overcoming the fiscal imbalance requires growth in the economy, not increases in taxes. The former administration introduced several new tax measures, but failed to grow the economy, especially so after 2008. My government assures the Antiguan and Barbuda workers and families that there will be no new taxes.
Opposition leader Baldwin Spencer described the throne speech as unexciting and unimpressive. He says there were no groundbreaking rules. Spencer also said government's announcement of no tax increases is null and void, given that the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party promised on the campaign trail that it would reduce taxes when it got into office.
And one of the measures that you were going to do to give that effect was to abolish personal income tax immediately upon taking office. So to that extent, I am not impressed. Yes, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank might have predicted that there could be a 4% growth throughout the OECS. But the reality is that whatever the IMF may have said, it would be interesting to see whether or not Antigua and Barbuda would be able to take the growth in 2015 beyond the prediction made by the IMF.
Antigua and Barbuda's opposition leader Baldwin Spencer. Cuba denied Friday that it had called a press conference in response to rumors circulating on social networks And in the international media about the state of former President Fidel Castro's health, officials at the Cuban Foreign Ministry's International Press Center told the Spanish news agency Agencia Efe that it had never called a press conference for this Friday. Media outside of Cuba, particularly in Miami, reported over the past few hours that authorities on the island had called a press conference due to rumors and speculation in social networks about the 88-year-old Fidel, who stepped down from the presidency in 2006. Thursday marked 1 year since his last public appearance, when he attended the inauguration of painter Alexis Cholayev's new art studio in Havana, while his last articles in the Cuban press were published in October. Fidel Castro has not yet made a statement about the renewal of diplomatic relations between Cuba and the United States, nor about the return to Cuba of the 3 Cuban intelligence agents who were serving long sentences in the U.S. for espionage. On that subject, pro-government blogger Yohandri Fontana published Friday a message on Twitter saying, "To all those who ask me about Fidel Castro, I can only tell them that he's very well, always working." Despite the wave of speculation abroad, the atmosphere in Cuba is one of apparent normalcy and tranquility. Dominica's opposition United Workers' Party, or UWP, plans to file criminal charges related to last month's general election. The UWP believes that it was cheated out of one of the seats and that the incumbent Dominican Labour Party allegedly flew home numerous overseas-based Dominicans to vote in elections that were held on December 8. Opposition leader Lennox Linton says that no elections petition will be filed. Instead, he says that his party plans to file criminal proceedings against Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett and a returning officer within the next 5 months related to the conduct and outcome of the elections.
We have maintained that certain things that happened during the election of 2014 were illegal. Certain criminal acts were committed, and we intend to pursue those in court. The preparation for that is ongoing. You will notice that we have not filed an election petition. 21 days have gone by since the election, and so we're not pursuing that sort of legal action, but we're pursuing other forms of legal action. And we will update as time goes by as we get ready for that.
6 months.
We'll be ready long before 6 months. I will let you know.
Dominica's opposition leader, Lennox Linton. And that's it for this edition of Caribbean News Desk. If you'd like to advertise your products and services across the Caribbean on this program, please drop us a line at caribnewsdesk@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at caribnewsdesk.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/caribnewsdesk. We are also on Twitter, so you can follow us there at twitter.com/demwaves. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend. I'm Dennis Chabrol.
We are 15 states with a common goal, a unified purpose to face the world, enriching lives, empowering people, creating a strong economic region. No matter where you're from, no hassle, just freedom. Whether business, school, or pleasure, we will benefit together. The CARICOM single market, good for you and me. The CARICOM single market, good for you and me. The CARICOM single market, good for you and me.